Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Truth Table. I'm Paul Everton. This is Season 3, Episode 6. And this is also Part 3 of Sammy's Backpacks. And I have Sammy's dad here, Sam Graham, as my guest, joining me right after this. Welcome, everyone, to the Truth Table, and thank you again for coming back on the show. Sam, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. How you doing?
I'm okay. Did you get a lot of people victim impact statements?
We
Did
did.
that already happen?
We got all the statements in. We submitted everything into the courts. There's going to be probably about half of them will be read out in court by the people, and then the other half will be read out by the Crown.
No, that's this Wednesday, right? The 11th?
It'll be the
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah.
11th and 12th. They put set aside 2 days for this.
Looks like one of my channels isn't working. I can't believe this. Let's see if I can. No. Okay. Facebook wasn't on for some reason. Well, that's very strange. Okay, I think that's okay now. So you did get a list, which is good. Lots of people to do that.
Yeah. We got a few people in there writing their own statements and stuff.
So I guess it'll be good to have closure at least when this is over.
I can't say in closure. It's been 5.5 years of our life, so I guess it's just to get past this part. I don't know if you want to call that closure for us. I don't feel that it's closure.
I don't think it's possible to have closure.
No, I know for sure. I don't even feel close to any type of closure. Just that we don't have to see the court system anymore and see the judges and the crowns. And we don't have to deal with those people anymore. So that's kind of nice to have them out of our life.
Did you have any because the Crown wanted to lower to manslaughter. I mean, are you still fighting that, or is that what it's going to be brought to the court?
Yeah, we're still fighting that. Like I said before, the defense had made a motion to. Sorry, wrong topic. When they demoted it to manslaughter, that was the judge's decision, which I have some write up on that right now. I could read some of that, and he just made that his decision based on some evidence that he thinks is evidence, and they dropped it from first degree to manslaughter. And we are fighting that. We're still waiting for the appeal on that decision. I still have a complaint against the judge about his actions in court. So I'm still waiting on the complaint to see where we're going to go with that. We'll take it up as far as we could go. We'll keep reaching out to the next level of the system, right? Because there's a lot of levels of the system. People don't understand that these are just the lower levels. There's above levels that keep going, and sometimes nothing will happen. But a lot of times people don't keep on pursuing that either. But yeah, that's what we're doing. That's our plan. So.
I mean, so long as your lawyer is, standing strong on, what you're expecting and hoping for, because the evidence is pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, it was. Now, we don't have a lawyer. The Crown is for the law. We don't have a lawyer. We're not allowed to have a lawyer in a situation like this. So you cannot have a lawyer. You can if you want, but they do nothing but sit on the sidelines like our family. So the lawyers doesn't do nothing in a situation like ours at all. That's the law. That is the law that should be changed. But there's no lawyer for us. The Crown's not fighting. We pushed the Crown to appeal the decision. I immediately put letters to them right away after we got the verdict from the judge. And as usual, it'll take a couple weeks for them to even get back to us. I've always sent several emails to our Crown. And a lot of times they just don't even respond to us. So I just keep sending them emails. I'm respectful. I'm courteous to them. I state the law where I can. I look up the law. I try to learn the law. And I send stuff back to them accordingly. So they did finally, about 3 weeks after the judge came with his verdict, they did appeal it. So they appealed it. And then that was in, I can say, February, March. And I haven't heard anything back from the appeal. So I've been sending out letters to them once again for updates on that, and there's never an update on it. And I just sent another one out now, like last week, and I finally got a response from the Crown stating that they're going to wait 30 days after the sentencing before they have their answer to see if they'll look into the decision. So that's where we're at with that. Your voice is off, Paul.
Just 5 minutes of a lawyer's time is like thousands and thousands of dollars. It's just insane what they get paid. It's really so unfair, and it certainly isn't fair for anyone with a lower income to try to defend themselves, like we've seen with the convoy.
Yep.
But, it will be good to not have to deal with this anymore. I mean, the suffering is not going to end no matter what. But this is a part of extending and making things worse, and you know what I mean? By trying to drop it to manslaughter, it's just insulting with all the evidence I've seen. And it's very clear that there was intent in it. I don't care if someone, has depression. It's not an excuse.
Right. Hey, Paul, if anybody goes through the information and all the information that we have through the court of law that's been shown us in court, there's nobody that would deem this as a manslaughter. There's nobody. Nobody would say, yep, definitely manslaughter. It's a second degree, and it's still a strong first degree. It's still a possibility that you could rule this as a first degree if you investigate it properly and you investigate it more, which they never did. They don't do that what they do on TV, right? That's not the law. When you see on TV, that's not how it works. They don't investigate stuff deep, right? They just take
bringing a weapon is intent enough for me. I mean, if he wanted to fight, he would have fists for that.
That's it.
And it would be manslaughter if, your son was attacking his girlfriend, and that wasn't the case either.
Nope.
So
nothing to do with that. So the manslaughter should have been off the table, just how they took first degree off the table. They should have announced that manslaughter is off the table. We're looking at first degree or second degree or first degree, right? They don't do that. They don't work for the laws. Don't work against the victim or for the victims. They work for the defense and the accused. That's where
I
system
I think that applies to almost everybody now. I
everything.
think the entire system has been twisted against Canadians, even in favor of the migrants.
Yes, yes,
So we're in a scary situation on many levels, which also is why another reason why it's important to talk about your story is because it's just another example of how they're being lenient, on offenders that do horrible things.
yeah,
And if they're immigrants, they can get away with murder pretty much
yeah.
and
Like it's
horrible crimes.
yeah, the crimes are ramping up more and more. You see them more and more. Like in Canada, you see a lot of Indigenous. You see, everybody. I'm not picking on Indigenous by no means,
No,
but you're
no.
seeing a lot of Indigenous in these crimes, right? Equally white people, right? Or whatever, any culture, and but you're seeing that what the laws are doing to those children and those young adults, it's making them be like making them learn it's okay, right? And they learn how to do certain things, which are the bad things, right? So they're learning from the laws to go around the laws or to commit murder. Like that's what I'm trying to say. I guess they're learning how to commit murder and how you can get away from murder.
Hmm.
And they all talk to each other, and then it happens again. And then the judges are like, yeah, we're not accountable. You're repeating offenses. We're not accountable. The Crown's not accountable. Defense lawyer's not accountable. Nobody's accountable for that individual murdering again or getting off easy and getting back out to society and committing other smaller crimes, if not murder again. Nobody's
Hmm.
accountable for that. Our laws work against all that, right? Imagine if we had a perfect system that they were accountable. If the judge did deem that it was a manslaughter, and this kid went out and murdered again, and that judge was actually accountable for his actions now. He could be
That
brought
would
up on
change.
charge.
Yeah.
That would sure change the judge's opinions in court and maybe just stick with the facts only. And no opinions should be
Mhm.
ever brought to court in a judge's level, right? Or the Crown's level. It should be based on law, which they always tell me based on law, but I keep on picking them apart that their opinions aren't based on laws. They can make decisions on non-law subjects, but we can't. And they
Yeah.
call it law, and they'll call it law, right? Like
Hmm.
all the whole.
Well, a lot of the problems we've seen is just the removal of fathers from their families, from their children. That causes a lot of problems as well with with the behaviors of the
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what we see is by design, and it's unfortunate that their inclusion is endangering our life and diversity by flooding in replacement migration that doesn't is not compatible with us. So there's so many on different levels. There's so many built-in problems that should have never happened. That could have been avoided. And Sammy could still be with us
Yeah. Yes. He
if
should have been
if
here, though, right? We shouldn't be in a world right now that our kids or our young adults are killing each other. Why are we in this stage? Who made that happen? Everybody's got accountability, but who made that happen? What shifted at some point in our society that this stuff is actually happening, that our kids are lazier, but they're more dangerous? Like who's allowed that? And people say, don't blame the government, don't blame this, but people always got to remember government runs the entire world. It's not
Mhm.
just the government you see in front of me, it's the worldwide government. They're all in a group, right? They discuss, they figure out what's going to be next on the agenda. They tell you what kind of meat's going to be on in the supermarkets. They tell you everything. They tell you what kind of candy's going to be there, the cereals they want to push out.
Yep.
Every single thing that the banking, everything. And people say, no, 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 that's not true. That's not true. That's the only truth that's there. And that's why a lot of things don't make sense, right? Because they're pushing these agendas on the world, right? And it's
Yep.
corrupting it's corrupting people more. People are getting lazier. They're getting more, I guess you could call it evil in a way. Crime's nothing to them, right? To carry a knife or to stab somebody, to stab a kid, they don't think twice to do that. They'll just do it, right? And they'll call it defense, and it's not defense, right? So
Yep.
something's got to change, right? It can't keep staying here and ignoring it like everybody, most people do ignore it. There's a lot of people fighting though. There's a lot of groups that of, Paul, yourself, that are fighting around Canada that are standing up and voicing their opinions and stuff like that. And there's a lot of us, and that it is getting more and more. And that's no secret. That's not a hidden agenda. That's just
No.
what's happening, right? That's just what is happening. One day these groups are all going to come together. They're all going to come together one day because we're all on the same page.
Well, I mean, in 1994 in Cairo, Egypt, 160 countries joined together and agreed to lower the population. Um, that was 1994, and they wanted it down to 500 million people, and they agreed. They all agreed to that. So that means uh, they all betrayed their own people
Mhm.
because really the creation is abundant. Like
Mhm.
one tomato has, so many seeds, and each seed is another tomato plant. So it's abundant
Mhm.
by design. So
Right.
there's never a need for shortage or hunger, and there's just it wasn't the creation wasn't designed to be that
Yeah.
way. It was designed to flourish and to be abundant. And but these people have betrayed all their own countries. 160 leaders
Yeah.
have, committed high treason against their own country by agreeing to this because they can't manage us at a high numbers. And that just shows an inability to lead,
For
poor
sure.
leadership. So this is who we're dealing with here. We're dealing with people that aren't our friends,
Yeah.
and we're seeing evidence of that right to the courtrooms
Everywhere. You're right. They're
and the
not our friends.
classrooms.
They're not there for the people. They're different. They're there for something else. That's why it
Hmm.
never makes sense. If anybody's hearing this, and if you just wondered why the last years or decades or 20, whatever you started to wake up to the system, why things are confusing when you look at anything, and you're like, but why? There's a simple reason, but why? Why is it like that? That's when you'll start to see everything unfold, right?
Yep.
That's when and then you'll realize that, people say everything's wrong or everything's fake. They're like, come on, everything. Okay,
Hmm.
it's like it's the world we live in, the Canadian world, the United States, the West countries, right? We know those the best, right? The West, right? So
Yep.
it is everything when you put it into the terms of what we know, our knowledge, and how we live, and it is everything. Everything has been corrupted, right? There's a better
Hmm.
way. There's always been a better way. Just people are just have been kind of silenced too much and we've been beaten down, right? Physically and mentally, right? We've been beaten down, like almost
Yeah.
tortured in a sense. We have no will to live. We have no will to ask why. We have no will to stand with 20 guys and go to court and say, you're wrong. All of us agree that you're wrong, to face them. We lost that will, right? They've done that. That is on purpose, right? Make them feel comfortable enough, but take things away.
Yeah, it's not natural, that's for sure, because none of it is anything I can imagine even considering.
Yeah,
I know the importance of the father, and even if he's, a bad father. I mean,
yeah,
there's good and bad in every culture and every ethnicity. So there's Canadians basically are not racist. I don't, we don't look at things that way. We look at things like based on the content of people's character.
yeah.
That's all that matters to us. I
The
mean,
system.
Canadians are good people, and they're really being abused because of that goodness that we have
We
and
are.
being taken advantage of, which is why this show is important to me because your story shows a part of that, what's going on here and how we're being victimized, we're being abused for our kindness
It
and
is.
we could do so much better and in a way we're letting people know that
Yes.
there this isn't natural. You're not the only one that thinks this is crazy,
Yeah.
and we're gonna show you why it's crazy and who's behind it,
Yeah.
and perhaps we can have some answers, but at least we can do is find community amongst each other and have know that we're not alone anymore,
We're not
and the
alone.
truth is here.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. We're not alone, and we're not all exactly alike. We have some differences, but we work those out pretty easily because our main goals are there. We have the same goals, right? We have the same
Hmm.
goals with that better way, right? We all do. We've met so many people over the years, and so many communities are coming together, and yeah, we have a lot of the similar like right on goals, and then of course there's some indifferences, but we work that out. We hash it out, we talk it out, we figure things out, right?
Yep.
I do, Paul. I have, if you want, I wrote out just some pieces of the judge's verdict on the case. And,
Yes, go right ahead.
I'll read that to you. It's a few pages here. I'm just going to take my time reading it because I'm not a strong reader, but
No, absolutely, brother. Yeah, do it.
I'm going to go through what he said and then what I say to counter that. So this would be, I guess, would be kind of part of the complaint, but I just want people to hear this. I want people to see what's going on in our court systems. But anyways, so I'm going to read it. I'll take my time. So it says on January the 30th, 2026, Justice A.D. Kirk delivered his reasons for judgment in the R.V. Lewis case. He acquired Montana Lewis of first-degree murder and second-degree murder. Sorry, he acquitted Montana Lewis of the first-degree murder and second-degree murder, convicting him only of manslaughter. The judge said that the manslaughter was close to murder and reflects a high degree of culpability, but he still gave Montana the benefits of the doubt on the intent, not based on truth or law. Now, this document is the direct document from the courthouse. So we received this from the courthouse on his verdict. So these are pieces from that document. So based on mainly on Montana's own testimony, we've seen all of these lies come out in court from him, proving that he lied. He admitted in court of some of the most impactful statements that night, and he lied about it in court. So he had 5 years to plan and change his story to mold it into whatever he wanted. And the system allowed that. He allowed Montana Lewis to do that and change his story whenever he wanted. And he didn't have to talk until the day of court. He didn't say nothing. He had the right to say nothing until court. Anyways, so he claimed that the stabbing was a reflex stab done in the heat of the moment. This is what Montana claimed. He was influenced by the ATV accident a week or two before. He said he was intoxicated from alcohol and cocaine use that day, that he was using both of them all day, and that he didn't mean to kill Sammy or know that wound would be fatal to him. This is what Montana Lewis stated. So the judge, Kirk, accepted that Montana dropped the knife afterwards and acted out of panic for his sister. Now, okay, no. So the judge based the decision based on what Montana said in court, even though he said we're not going to take Montana's testimony, we're going to take Sammy Lewis's testimony as truth. The judge still based his decision on some of these accusations that Montana was lying about, and there's nothing to back that information up. So first, the ATV accident story. Montana said he went to the hospital after this ATV accident the next day, but when asked to acquire some documentation by the hospitals to state these injuries, there is none. The person that was with him at the ATV accident, I'm not sure what the name of the individual was, but he never testified. He never was brought up to court to testify that this happened. And so really, Montana stating that was a complete lie in court. You've seen that. There's no information to back that up. Second thing is that the judge accepted Montana's claim he was intoxicated, not thinking clearly, but there was zero toxicology reports and evidence. No officer testified that night stated anything about Montana being intoxicated, buzzed, smell like booze, nothing. Montana said he was drinking wine all day, and wine is pretty stinky. You'd smell it all over somebody, but there was no smells. There was no any exaggeration of his walking, nothing. When the cops actually arrived on site of the murder, the cops actually said Montana was quite calm. That was what their description was. Samaya's testified as well that day about her brother's state, and she herself said there was no signs of intoxication whatsoever. And once again, I'm going to say this a few times over, but they kept on saying in courts, the defense, that how Montana and Samaya, because they were twins, they were so close to each other. They're just like so tight as twins. They know each other's, steps. Like they kept on repeating that over and over again. And once again, this states that Samaya, the twin sister, says there was no signs of intoxication to her brother. There's nothing like that. So the third point I want to discuss is that the judge called this a reflex stab, but the evidence showed 2 stabs delivering the massive force. They always ignored the second stabbing through court the whole 5.5 years we've been doing this. Nobody really talked about the second stab. They tried to, from the beginning, put planning in place to bring this to a manslaughter charge by only concentrating on the one stab, making this look more like it wasn't purposely done, or it was an accidental, or he didn't mean to kill him. He meant to stab him, but not kill him. That's not the case. The evidence shows different. In court, on record, all the witnesses testify. Most of this information is similar. Montana stabbed him twice, my son. And the first stabbing, we don't know which one was first, but we're assuming, because of Montana's testimony, that the first stabbing was right here, because she's seen Sammy put up his hand in his arm, and that went about right here. And nobody would explain this because there's no lawyer for us, right? The stabbing motion hit him right here. So if my son didn't have his arm there, the knife would have went into his neck or into his head area somewhere, probably causing fatal death. This one saved that one from happening. This was an extreme puncture and extreme pressure. It went right through the muscle, right to the bone. This one. So after that his arm comes down after that. Montana stabbed him right in the abdomen, and that severed his aorta 70%. And he bled out immediately. They fell to the ground, and my son was done at that point. So that was the other point, right? It was the stabbings. There's 2 stabbings. It was an intentional stabs. The impact was high. There were death blows. Both of them were death blows. He was trying to kill my son. He's trying to take him out. That was planned and deliberate. The fourth thing that the judge did downplay was the planning. So while my son and Samaya were now, I'm jumping around a bit. I know I'm a little bit confusing here. I'm just trying to get information out. I got so much information in my mind all the time. I've been living like this for the last 5.5 years. And I just did this just before the podcast too. So so just try to picture this. They got into an argument. They argued. They left. Sammy and Samaya left the house. And then Montana's on the phone immediately with his friends, telling him, I'm going to kill him. Today's the day. He repeated those type of words a few times to different people. And then my son and Samaya go up to the vape store. It took them about 30 minutes to get there and come back. But they weren't going to come back. They were just going to the vape store. But Montana kept on telling them to come back to the house, bring the dog back, bring the dog back. He wanted them back at the house. He kept on asking them, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? So he was kind of luring them back into the home, make sure they're coming back home, because he was planning in that time. He was planning things in his mind, what he was going to do. And then, Montana was kept on texting Samaya and, saying the words, today's the day. And then my son dying that moment after kind of means that was intent as well. And he's actually admitting to what he did and on the phone. And the courts just oversee this and just take it as just small talk. So, sorry here. So they bring the dog home. My son and them and Sammy come into the house. Montana runs immediately downstairs, starts arguing with my son. My son argues back. Montana starts a fight. They fight. And Montana loses this fight. It wasn't a big fight. These are seconds. I'm going to tell everybody seconds. This moment happened in a minute, 2 minutes. They had a small fight. Montana ended up on the bottom stairs of the steps. And then he bolted upstairs. Okay. We don't know if he ran upstairs to get the knife. We don't know if he had the knife in his pocket, but we are just assuming the knife was already in his pocket because he was already planning this. We believe he ran upstairs for a quick moment to get momentum, to go at my son. And the reason why we say this, and of course, none of the Crown or the judge would never talk about this stuff because we don't have a lawyer. He ran up, just imagine that. The stairs aren't that big. They're like 6 to 10 steps. And then it corners and it goes up another couple steps. But he ran up the stairs so quick that my son and Samaya, even though Samaya didn't admit anything to this because she just didn't know. She didn't know a lot of stuff. She forgot. My son and Samaya ran out the side door, ran out. They didn't walk. They didn't say, see you later, we're leaving. They ran out the side door for a reason. Even if Montana was running up the stairs, who cares? Run up the stairs. My son wouldn't have ran, right? And if he was running back down at him, he would have just stayed there and fought him again. Either words were said there that we can't prove, or he said that he was going to grab the knife, or he was just running back down with the knife in his hand. And my son and Samaya seen that. They both ran out that side door. And the other evidence to back this up is Montana was right behind them. He wasn't a couple minutes behind him through 30 seconds. He was right behind him because Sammy and Samaya ran out the side door. The front door is right in front of the stairs. Montana could have ran out that front door, but he was so close to them. He followed them out the side door. My son and Samaya had enough time to get out the side door and my son to hold that side door shut. That's how close he was. And Montana was right there with the knife opened, which he admitted in court. He had the knife open, right, at that side door. He couldn't get out that side door because my son was holding it. Montana goes, I don't know who was holding it, but he does. And he ran out the front door, and that's when he came up with the knife already opened in his hand. He stabbed them twice, and my son fell to his death.
And that's intent.
Yes.
That you don't bring a gun to a fist fight or a knife to a fist fight. So that alone, plus his text alone,
Yes.
showed his intent as well. I mean, it's all. Yeah. I'm not even a lawyer, and it's clear as daylight, sunshine, so bright I can barely see.
I'm not a lawyer, but man, I wish I could have been up on the stand with the Crown and the judge and asking them these questions. I wish I could have represented myself. I wish I could have represented my son. I feel like a lawyer now. I might not know all the laws, but I can figure the laws out. I can look them up. I can figure them out. And going through this evidence, I think I'm going to do a hell of a lot better job than the Crown would, because the Crown ignored most of the evidence on this, and the judge, right?
But all the evidence is even online. Anybody can find out exactly what he said. I mean, it's all like open. The judge can't ignore that. Now, if the judge is like downgrading is, and I don't want to think for the judge, or you know what I mean. My faith, whatever happens. At least he's going to jail. But that's not going to solve the problem by him going to jail. He needs reform. He needs to not think that way. He doesn't. Is he going to come? He could come out and do the same thing again.
Well, how many other people? How many other people have done that? Killed people.
That's a problem. That's a problem with our system. The system doesn't fix.
What about the indigenous people, the young kids? What about that? How many people are doing that now?
Yeah.
Right? Why?
They're making it worse by downgrading and not treating and not addressing why this is happening. because to me, you got to start from a spiritual, righteous position to to find the problem, address it, and treat it, and make a better human being. Help them to become the person God created them to be. Because even the worst of us can be reformed.
See,
But
Paul, like they keep up, they'll always blame people, right, for what's happening in our world. They'll always put the guilt, okay? They
mhm,
love putting guilt on the traditional blue collared family with the big heart, Christians, whatnot. They always love to put pressure on the people, right? It makes them feel bad, makes them back down, and
mhm,
that's horrible that our system does it. That is severe abuse on people, severe abuse. And, you know,
yep,
um, like look at, for example, I'll take example Montana's father. I don't know a whole lot about his father. I heard he's been in and out of jail his whole life, and I heard he stabbed somebody in the head. Okay,
well,
now
there you go.
he beat up his mother at one point, right? But Samaya and Montana were, I think, 9 or 10 at the time, and so that abuse cycle's there. Whose fault is that? Like, is people have accountability, 100%, right? But the government's trying to be easy on that, but they're not making any changes towards helping people, right? In
Yes,
the manners, right? They're just letting
yeah,
them reoccur, letting them reoccur, right? There's no
yeah,
real help there. They tell you they do, but they don't. We all know that, right? So now it's Montana now. Now
yeah.
look what he took it even a
Now, if
step
he
further.
has a kid, it's going to happen
Right?
again.
So he took it a step further now. Like he made sure
Yeah.
somebody was there this time, right? And he
Mhm.
knew a lot about that, right? He knew a lot about what to do, right? Because we can't talk about any of the information we know the last 3 years before my son was dead. Right? We
Mhm.
can't talk about that. We know stuff about Montana. We know his capability was that. We heard stuff that he would take knives to fights and stuff. We heard that stuff, that he's already like that. He already had that in his mind. My son happened to be he just had my son's insight now. He was the one. He was the one he was going to kill at some point in his life. Like he says on the stands, Paul, it was bound to happen in front of court, open court. Montana's standing there. He said something was bound to happen. That was his exact words. What does that mean? The judges don't say nothing to that. The Crown says nothing to that. But he says this openly in court. Didn't he just admit to it again? Right? Anyways, let me finish up on this little paragraph I have
Yep,
left here.
yep.
So I just have here, the only reason this all happened is because all my son was doing was trying to protect Samaya. That's the only thing my son ever did, was try to protect her, keep her safe, keep her loved, keep her away from her brother, whatever my son had to do. He was always there for Samaya, right? It was always about that. Nothing else, nothing more. My son could give two shits about Montana, but as long as Samaya's safe, everything's good, right? So, and he just tried to leave the house, right? He seen something happen. He ran out the door, tried to get Samaya in the car. She wouldn't go in the car. And Sammy said, "I'm not leaving without you." Right? Exact words. "I'm not leaving without you." That's what my son said to her. Those were probably his last words to her, because she never could tell me what the last words were, but she told me that statement that he said. And then Montana came and stabbed him right then in front of her. Anyways, so I just have here, our family views the truth of the case. We see everything. We see the truths of the case. We see the truth of everything that happened. My son was a hero in a way, because he saved a person's life. He saved Samaya's life. He got her away from her brother. And I guess when you look at that, that is the biggest picture that you could see right now, is what happened and the reasons why that none of us know. And Samaya today, she lives in the States with a new husband, and she has a beautiful kid. She just had her. And we pray for her. And, my son gave her that life, but his life was taken. And I tell you, man, our family's different. Paul, you're different. We're all different. We all got a piece of our Creator inside us. And we all try to stand up and show that part in life. And that's why we're good. That's where the goodness comes from. It just doesn't come from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you look at it this way, my family and Samaya's family is quite different. Her parents the life that they were up and brought up to, and we're the kind of family that kind of intervenes to those family. We show them the true love of life. We show
Yeah.
them kindness and being grateful and laughing and having fun and having babies. We're created that way. I
Hmm.
never once said I don't want to be a father or I'll wait till I'm older. I was a dad as soon as I can. It was in me. I never questioned that. It was just in me instantly. And what I was trying to get at is that, our family sees these people in life go by. And I understand it more than ever since my son has died. But I've always been this way. And my whole family is that we see this pain from these people. We see it, we feel it inside us. We have a need to help them where we can. And our help usually is we take them in our house, we comfort them, we love them, we'll feed them, we'll clothe them. We've been like that. That's who we are.
Hmm.
That's our Canadian way. That's how we're raised, and that's how we are. And Sammy brought that to her family. He didn't just bring that to Samaya. He brought that to her mother. He brought that to her father. He brought that to Montana. He brought that love and that care to them. And
Hmm.
the evil works in really, really weird ways. And Montana hated him for that. He hated him for that characteristics that Sammy carried in him. He hated him being that kind of person. He hated him from the beginning they started dating. Sammy always told me that. This goes right back to the beginning. But he tried to be Montana's brother. He was there to help him through life, not for Montana to turn around and kill him. You know.
Hmm.
Anyways, the
But I
story
mean,
goes. He got
they were
murdered.
twins. They were twins, so they should have had a connection. And the fact that she was in love,
Yeah,
he took that away from her,
took that away from his sister. That
which is
love is
that
absolutely
there's yeah that he
crazy.
was supposed to be close to. I mean,
It's not talked about, and we haven't gone into this deep stuff yet with that. But that's like a
mhm.
jealousy rage from him of some
Yeah,
kind of
good,
or
unhealthy, that's for sure.
yeah, from the sister or from Sammy or both. I don't know. It's like an extreme
Mhm.
jealous rage for something deeper that I wouldn't even know how to examine that because
Me and my sister are close in age, and she was very toxic
yeah,
growing up. She,
yeah,
I still have to avoid her, but I mean, I love her, but she's too dangerous. She's a destructive. Like if she meets one of my friends, she wants to implode that friendship. She wants to destroy it. So she's
yeah.
whispering in their ear and creating problems where there's none. And she's always done that, and I don't understand it. So,
I know.
you would think that them being twins, that he would want her to be happy, that he would
Yeah,
share in that happiness.
yeah.
But
Me too.
I hope the judge, does the right thing. I really do. Um, but really, jail's not going to fix Montana. Only treatment. But proper treatment. Unfortunately, even our treatment, our medical industry is upside down. They're not
Yeah,
like they're addressing symptoms. They're not addressing the cause.
yeah.
Everything is backwards from our treatments, even mental health. I mean, I wouldn't even trust them with them. To be
What is it?
honest, with,
What is our health system? Give them pills before you give them help. Put them on the pills first. Get them used to that, and then that's what they're on now. And then we'll see about the psychologists or whatever they need to talk to after the fact, right? Why don't you bring them into a hospital that has good food, fruits and vegetables and stuff that clean them up, clean their insides out? Why don't you do that? Hammer them with good food. Maybe that's start of something to change whatever's happening to their mind, depression or whatever. Get them off of the crap that they ingest, that they sell and sell that to them. The bad stuff.
but as
They
soon
don't
as
do.
this happened with Sammy, that's where the medical industry showed us their dark side. Trust the science, safe and effective.
Yeah,
Get your kids, even if you're pregnant, take it.
yeah,
Or you're endangering grandma. I mean,
yeah,
we saw the worst psychotic crime of the century after that devastation you just went through. Then you went through that
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah,
So that's something we do share. I mean, I've lost some children, but But we share a lot actually.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. So you do have an event also on the 19th that I want to make sure that we cover,
Yes. I
the
brought,
barbecue
I
and the
wanted to
car
talk.
wash.
Yeah, yeah, big event. This is our second annual car wash event. We did really good last year. And yeah, we're getting bigger in Sault Ste. Marie. You know, the word's getting out there more. We're getting more people that are sponsoring us, getting companies that are starting to sponsor us now. So we just want to keep this thing growing. And this is all about the children, and the backpacks are just their first step of this program. And we really want to start to reach out to kids and talk to them. And we want to make them strong in their minds, right? We want to make them
Hmm.
strong in their minds. We want to make them healthy. We want to prepare them for our future that we have right now. Currently, if it doesn't change, we have to prepare them better than what we're doing in the school systems. And we got to know, they got to know that we are there for them. We see who they are. We were once them before, and we don't want them to go through whole life like me and you, Paul, and maybe one day we wake up. We just want to tell them the truth at the beginning, so they never have to wake up to it, right? They just know it, right? And they make a better future for everybody, right? That's what we want. So I want to show you some stuff here. I know it's probably backwards, right? But that's Sammy's Backpacks.org. These are shirts that we just got made up. This is the first time, and then we got some hoodies here that we got made up. Sorry, my camera's changing on me. Some Sammy's backpack hoodies that we got. So we got a bunch of shirts, different colors. So we're just having a little bit of merchandise. Um, it's just at cost, right? We're just selling everything at cost. There's no money. We just wanted to promote it a little bit more, and people could wear it. And, just start expanding that way. And then we want people mostly to be involved with us if they can, through volunteer if they want to become part of our team. If we get thinkers, people that think outside of the box, we could just keep on growing. If we have that team in place, I'm willing to go as far as we can with this, and to make a difference and change for the children.
Yeah. Well, Sammy's backpacks, again, is the link is in the description. And if anyone's in the area, uh, go to the car wash and the barbecue and see, be a part of something beautiful that came from a tragedy. And you know, it it's never easy, but it is good that things like this happen despite the tragedy. And on a community level, this is very a beautiful thing to help other children. And we all have to, like I've taken my tragedy too, and I've done this with it. I made something good from it, something honest, and we all grieve in our own way, and it's inspirational to see what you've done with it. And I know Sammy's still with us, and my children are still alive and waiting me in beyond the golden gates.
Right,
So,
right.
I will have to wait till it's my time. I will not. I'm not in no hurry because I know that we all have a purpose here right now, and I'm grateful for you and sharing your story, you know,
Yeah.
with us. And perhaps we could do a final show
Yeah. Um, for
after
courts,
the trial, after the
we're
court.
going to see
Mi-
how loaded up that like we get, because the court, over the years, the court has been really heavy on us. Like
Yeah.
it actually drains our energy. Like we're down for a
Uh,
few weeks usually, and
yeah.
just to make sense of everything what happens, it's horrible, what's happened to us.
Hmm.
And like I said before to you, I got a couple books that I'm in the works on. The books are going to come out. It's going to go more detail about a lot more of what happened over that time, and during the relationship with Montana and Samaya and Sammy. So yeah, I got to get books out there. And it's like I said, I'm just putting it out there. It's information that people should learn from and see what the
Yeah.
real world is all about. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to promote. I guess not promote, but It's my truth, right? It's my truth. The truth that
Yeah,
happened to me.
I think it's a righteous way of dealing with this, it really is. But I don't know if you can be remote because I think it would be nice to be remote right at the barbecue, you know, at the car
I
wash, and you could just remotely show everybody and
could do that.
scan. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea.
What about Paul? If we could do something with you on that, could we connect on that? And
I
just
th-
to give
I
you,
well, let's do it like every year.
yeah, yeah,
We'll do a live. We'll do a
yeah.
live at barbecue, Sammy's barbecue.
5 or 10 minutes, whatever. Just go show the activities, and that'd be fun, kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'll be
yeah.
on the. Yeah,
If someone has a cell phone, and I
yeah.
could get them on the podcast, and they could show everything.
That'd be
Yeah, that
cool.
would be great. I
I'll,
would like
I'll,
that.
I'll do that. I'll show everybody. Yeah, we'll do
Well,
that.
I've got the 19th open, so
Perfect then.
I, we should shoot for that, and then
Yeah.
we can also talk about the end result,
Yes. Yes, for sure.
and
Yeah.
give
Be
closure to
perfect.
that part of this, because
Yeah.
that just makes everything worse. I think
Yeah.
dragging it out, and it should
Yeah.
be
I think
quick.
like Paul, like every moment of our life has been based on court. Every
Yeah,
moment. If say
yeah,
we have court next week, that's on our mind every week. That's weighing on us that week. If they say, "Oh, we got court in 2 months, 3 months," that's weighing on us. When they came
yeah,
for date pre-trial, that whole year, we're just waiting for that pre-trial date. That consumes your mind. Same with the
mhm,
trial. All that time in between, every single motion, every single court date, that's what our mind is at, is that court date. We've been to court 47 times in the last 5 years. 47 times that we've been there. And that's probably not counting the first year, because after that I realized that one time, I'm just going to tell this quick. One time, it was the Crown supposed to go to court every time, but neither the Crown were in court. They didn't have any updates for us for information, because we lived on this up. We live on court dates. We live on the information that's provided,
yeah,
right? We do live on that, right? What's the next steps? What happened? So neither of them were in court. I didn't get any information, and I always had to reach out to them or email them for updates. So I said, that's it, no more. We're going to go to every single court date possible. We went to everyone, not possible. We went to every single court date after that to get our own, to listen to it ourselves, to hear the information to ourselves. And I highly recommend, and I wish this on nobody has to go through this.
yeah,
But if a Crown says you don't have to go to these court dates, go. It's part of your
yeah,
journey. It's part of your story. You see the system. We've seen the
yep,
system. We've seen every time we went to court, it was a different judge with a different attitude. We've seen that. I could talk about that, right? Why isn't it the same
hmm,
judge? Oh, we're busy. Okay, that's good. This is a murder case. Good thing this is second to everything else, right? He's on fucking
yeah,
holidays. You got this judge coming in smiling, joking around, right? This is a murder case. Once again, it's a murder case, right? That's not cool. That's not good.
yeah. I think they get hardened to it all. You know what I mean? It's just numbers to them
I
because they're
can
dealing with murders all the time, and you
see
know what I
that, but
mean.
I do
But
I do know what you mean. But
I
you know
I
what?
can understand the judges, but I don't think it's appropriate to be cold
And
and
but
callous and joking.
they should be smart enough not to do that in front of a family that got their kid murdered. You know what?
Yes,
I
yes,
understand the sense of that, but in court, when you're in
yeah.
front of that, if they're so fucking smart, if they're
Well, I
so
think,
smart with the laws and that, right?
and they
No
all
more.
know each other though. They're all like buddies, the crown and the judges, and they
They
have
do. They hang out.
coffee and
They talk to each other right in front of us. And I was
yeah,
pissed off right from the beginning of that, and I told that
yeah.
crown that that's not fucking right. You guys
There's
want to
no
talk?
heart. There's
Go in
no
your room.
heart to what they do. It's just all status. It's all statistics and
Accountability.
information.
Accountability. No more excuses. People got to stop
Yeah,
making excuses for the fuck ups that they're doing, right? Because you don't care
yeah.
about my son being murdered. I don't give a shit. But go somewhere and talk privately.
Be
Don't,
appropriate, professional. Yeah,
I don't care
absolutely. I
if
agree with that. But I
it's some
also understand it. I understand it because you know what I mean? I have that gift to be able to put myself in their shoes. I understand they're cold and callous. They can't. I don't think they can survive if they emotionally, get involved in each case.
I'd like to
You know
see
what I
how.
mean? But joking around is very immature, unprofessional, inappropriate. It's beneath the robe that they're wearing. So even though I understand them, I also understand that it's not appropriate for them to make light, especially when the victim, the victim's parents are in the room.
What's worse
So
when you tell.
yeah, that
What's
make it
worse?
worse. Yeah,
What worse when you tell them that that is not appropriate and they still do it. So what do you call that? You understand that?
that's
That's not
just
understandable, dude.
yeah. Their heart
Not right.
isn't there. They're like
That's,
NPCs, non-player character.
that's not right because I'd like to see what happens if something happened to their child
Yeah.
and how emotional they're going to be. Let's see how sturdy they be, and you know what I mean. How yeah, it just
hmm
happened. I would like to see that. Let's see what happens there, right?
But this is also why this country is in the shape it's in. Because they had their role, they had their opportunities to stop these things from happening, and
You know what?
they just, they
You know
just hit the
you know.
hammer and just pass it
But
through.
it's all fucking lies, and there's no accountability on anything we do these days, right?
hmm
Yeah, I understand the judge that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't
Yep.
happen. You shouldn't even fucking crack a smile. If there's anybody going to be putting a joke out there smiling, it should be our family. That's it. That's all. The ones that
Yep.
are the victims of that, right? I don't go up to somebody and say, "Holy shit, look how fat you are." I don't say that. Why don't I say that? Why wouldn't I say that to somebody? Come out and say, "You're fucking fat." I would never say that to a person. It hurts them, and I know it would hurt them. I don't do that because I care for that person. I don't know what her reasons are or his reasons are. I just don't do that. Judge, you
Yeah.
don't laugh in a court. I don't care how cold you are. You don't laugh at anything in the courtroom when it has to do with murder. If somebody stole something, I don't care. Laugh all you want. He just stole something from a store. Who gives a shit about that? Laugh, joke around
Mhm.
in there, make it later than it is. That's fine. It's one crime, murder. One crime you don't do that in. One out of all the other ones,
Well,
right? Or rape too's bad. Rape's horrible.
but
You
we
know,
have to also understand that the politicians we're dealing with appoint these judges.
I know,
So
I know.
that's how Trudeau got off of. I didn't insult the Canadian people. Yeah, okay, but
Someday maybe we'll have a true system in place. Maybe
I will
we're
be great. I'll be grateful that you won't have to deal with this anymore. You know,
yeah,
I
we
think
are too.
I think you suffered enough,
Yeah,
and I do look forward to a cheerful day at the barbecue after
for sure.
your closure, and showing what amazing thing came from a tragedy, and bringing the community together. And in the spirit of that, I think that's the most touching part is that I believe Sammy is aware of it. Oh, it's gonna be.
Sammy backpack this Sammy, buddy. Right, right.
I thought it was gonna be all right, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna work it out, and I'm gonna try to do a show for that barbecue. Maybe even every year. I don't know if we're still here. I don't know,
Oh yeah, we'll
but
be
it.
here. You'll be here. We'll be here. Yeah, no, for
uh,
sure, buddy. Yeah, it'll be an annual thing for sure. This
yeah,
is like I said, fifth year, and we're just getting started, man. Fifth year, we're just getting
yeah.
started. Can you imagine
Well,
if I just feel a little bit more, how much more I could do every year?
yeah. Well, this is a beautiful thing. You got that van,
Yeah,
and you know, the
getting
spirit
done.
of Sammy. The spirit of Sammy is eternal, and a beautiful thing has come from this, and I'm grateful to be able to shine light onto darkness,
Yeah,
and show that people can never give up hope, because even the worst of things can be just a lesson for us, because I believe that we're eternal, and I believe he's eternal, and I think he's feels very blessed to be a part of this as well in
Yeah.
spirit. And thank you so much, Sam, for coming on the show. And I look forward to having you back when there's closure. And I thank
Absolutely.
everybody at home as well.
Yeah.
If there's anything else you wanted to say before we close today,
I just wanted to say, you know what? Our creator is real. Our creation is real. He lives inside us all, man. And we just have to go forward with that in life and spread that word. That's it, buddy. God bless, man.
thank you very much. And thank you all at home for coming. Join us on the 19th. We're going to cover the barbecue. And I wish you all a great night and see you back on Tuesday with the leader of the People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier. Uh, what time is it going to? I think it's uh, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can join me then. Thank you all for coming and spending some time here at the Truth Table.